humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We've been born out of conquering a world. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful, and we're beautiful, and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. But you must stop bowing to those that want to make you a victim. You must become the victor. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, then you are an enemy of the New World Order and Satanism. They want us shut down because we have the Spirit. I'm jacked into the source. I know the secret, and I want to see you empowered. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I did a video on the Switch 2's gaming prices. And needless to say, a lot of people didn't like my take, they didn't like my opinion, which was basically to say, I'm happy to pay the prices that Nintendo is asking for certain games because of the quality and the pedigree of the game. Personally, I don't have a problem with it. Certain games I'm going to buy for what the price is that they're asking, and certain games I'm not. That's the market. That's supply and demand. If there's more demand for this one than this one, then you're going to buy that one. Anyway, people were very upset. Very, very upset. I got a bunch of angry emails. How could you say this? We have to have solidarity. What about people who are poor? And I totally get it. And even in that video, if people weren't so just immediately emotionally captured, I admitted that I agreed with a lot of the arguments that are coming out from people who were opposed to it. But personally, I said, I'm going to be buying this game because I know that it's a great game. But apparently there are a lot of things that gamers just seem to forget as it relates to this. And I don't blame you, because content creators prey on this. They know what content is going to drive you to their channel. Hating on Nintendo, coming out with just, corporation bad, greed bad, somewhere to the low IQ end of the bell curve. You've got somebody like Moist Critical, who is probably one of the most disgusting and just downright retarded content creators. What do you think the name of his title is? Nintendo was so greedy. And the fact of the matter is that he's not right, I'm right. It's just that what he's saying tastes sweeter. Because it's moral vindication, it's playing into the self-righteousness that, we're right, but it's not tariffs. It's inflation, and it's that Nintendo can. And not because Nintendo set this trend, gamers set this trend. And I'll explain. You may not know this, but World of Warcraft released a $90 mount. A $90 mount. That is one item in their game worth $90. 20% of their market bought it. This is the standard by which games are coming into business decisions these days. And Nintendo is one of the only companies that is held back on microtransactions. I'm not saying across the board, but if you take a look at Nintendo games, more often than not, you're not going to be accosted with, oh, hey, you have to buy these loot boxes, or you have to buy these disgusting, micro purchases and stuff like that. Usually it's, hey, you want like a new costume for your character? Well, that will be like $2, $3, or $4. That's the most egregious that they get with a lot of this stuff. But other companies will nickel and dime you. They'll charge you $60 or $70 for a game, and then in some cases try to put ads in the game. They'll try to put $90 mounts in the game. So I guess maybe over the years my metric has changed, where I look at an $80 game from Nintendo, Mario Kart, that I know that I'm going to enjoy, and I just don't react the same way that a lot of other people do, which is with anger and resentment and just this sort of nebulous push towards, Nintendo is terrible and this is terrible and we need to come together on this. Where was the gaming community for this? It's like people may have mocked it, but 20% of players bought it. And here's the thing. Game prices have been all over the place for the entirety of their existence. Like, I'm not saying that all games would come out and be $90, but back in the day, games would be 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, even $90. So maybe it's that I'm also too old and that I remember what it was like, in the before time, before the internet. And so what I'm saying here is not that you can't be mad or you can't be upset or that you're wrong if you take the stance that, $80 for a game is unacceptable. And by the way, the physical copy being a key code, I am more than 100%. I'm probably one of the most passionate people about how ridiculous that is. You're gonna release a physical copy of a game and it's just gonna have a key code. Nintendo, that is retarded on a level. I you can't do that. You have to preserve your physical media. It's one of the most important things. Creating a library of games is one of the reasons why people collect games in the first place. And if it's just a code on a disc, that's going to be absolutely atrocious. That's going to be absolutely atrocious. And I'm hoping that Nintendo reverses this or only does it for certain games. Because I want my games on my cartridge. If I'm going to pay an extra $10, the game better be on the cartridge. But anyway, as it relates to Mario Kart, this is the one that people are really, really pushing on, which I don't think is the best argument, to be honest. I think that looking at some of the other games and saying, well, these could be $80, I think that is a much better argument. Because Mario Kart, I think, is going to be worth the price. And there's going to be a bunch of free extras, because there always is. And yes, you're going to have to pay for the online experience, but the online experience for me is value for money. Especially now with GameCube games. It's like I can have a bunch of Genesis and Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo and Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games and 64 games. It's like, yeah, it sounds pretty good. And now GameCube. But I don't know, people have this weird visceral reaction to Nintendo. I think it's because Nintendo has done too many things, whether large or small, that have irritated the gaming community. And to be honest, I never took any of that stuff personally, so it doesn't affect me emotionally. I look at Nintendo making a business decision as a business decision, and people look at it as this is an evil, greedy company. And the thing that I find so interesting about the people who use the word greed, especially from like online content creators, but
If hitting
um, it's like people who use the word greed, um, like Moist Critical, for example, he'll shill all of his like garbage tier slop. Like for example, I'll give you an example. And I'm not trying to call him out, just for the sake of it. I'm pointing out the fact that a lot of people like him will talk about greed and then they'll like promote like their gamer subs, for example. Gamer subs I mean, the stuff actually in the canister. I mean, God, I feel the stuff in the canister is bad for you. It's like it's like chemical compound shit that you're gonna feed to people who are sitting to play games. It's like I've said this before, and this is an aside, but I agree with RFK Jr. on this that if you want something to boost your energy, you don't need a bunch of like chemicals and stuff. It may not taste very good, but getting those shots of coffee, like the ones those should perk you right up, and they don't have all the chemicals and stuff in them. Yeah, so I'm not going to get a sponsorship deal from Gamer Subs or G Fuel. I never ever would accept that. They'd have to pay me $1 billion and agree to the fact that I would say that their product is shit. It's bad for you. It's not good for you. By the way, Gamer Subs and all that powdered energy, energy stuff that you put into your body, it's not good. But anyway, yeah, like Moist Critical, like he's selling soap and he sells merch and stuff like that. And it's just like, and the prices for these are not inexpensive. They're actually a premium price product. And he's talking about greed, like, oh, greed. That's how terrible it is that this company is charging $80 or $90, and it's like I've seen $90 for a single mount in a video game. By the way, if you want to know what I'm talking about here, this is Moist Critical's soap company, Cheeky. If you want, how many bars of soap? You get a soap saver tray, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars of soap. It's $52. It's $52 for 6 bars of soap and a little tray. So understand, I'm actually not just ripping on him for this, but the fact is that a lot of these content creators like Hassan will call out the greed of these companies while doing the exact same thing themselves in a different direction. But the thing is, their entire brand relies on outrage traffic and clicks and views from content like that, whereas Nintendo actually makes things. You may not like what they make, but they actually make things. And that's the differentiator, I think. And that's why I give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt, is because their games feel less predatory and less creepy than what's currently on the market and accepted by gamers. You may not like it, but you accept it. There's no campaigns against this. There's not a large, widespread campaign against this. Yeah, it's a $90 amount. This is it, by the way. This is the amount. Anyway, I wanted to do this follow-up video because I do think it's important to understand where I'm coming from. There's a lot more going into this than just Nintendo bad. And I feel that a lot of people fall into that trap because it's simple, makes you feel good. You virtue signal, that terrible company. But the fact is that most people, when they look at this honestly and when they look at it openly, they recognize that it's not that simple. That it's not as simple as Nintendo bad. That there are actual factors. And the thing that's really interesting, like for example, inflation. Inflation is one of them. It's not tariffs, by the way. People try to blame Trump. Like, oh, it's Trump tariffs. No, because the prices are increased in Canada and the UK and everywhere else. So yeah, no, it's not just America where the prices are increased. Um, yeah, Asmongold did a reaction did a reaction to this where he was slightly underwhelmed. Well, I think he was whelmed. I don't think he was overwhelmed. But he talked about in this video the prices going up as a result of inflation, and I agree with that sentiment. That the game prices increasing are a result of a bunch of different factors. And I think, look, some of you may not like this, but here's a little. Let me get a little bit deeper for a second. I think what's going to happen is these big games like Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, I think these are going to still sell at $80. Although I mentioned before, Mario Kart is going to be $50 with the Switch console. So it's going to be $50, not $80. $50. The game is going to be $50. $50. $50. That's almost half the price of one mount from World of Warcraft these days. So if you buy the Switch bundle, it's Mario Kart World is going to be $50. $50. But I look at this, and I think that games like Mario Kart are going to do well. I think games like The Legend of Zelda are going to do well. Oh, and by the way, I double checked. I don't know if this is official yet, but apparently the upgrades from Switch to Switch 2, like for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, the upgrades are free if you have Nintendo Switch Online. So just more value proposition for that thing. Good business decision, I think, that if you have the NSO that you get the upgrades for free. But I think that a lot of the main Nintendo games are going to do well, but I think that a gaming crash is coming. And I think that as they increase the price of games, it's going to come faster sooner rather than later. And I think that maybe I'm an accelerationist. Maybe I'm just looking at it going, just get it over with. I don't think Assassin's Creed Shadows is worth $80. I don't think that Dragon Age the Veilguard is worth $80. I didn't think it was worth $70. I don't think it's worth 60. Veilguard, I don't think it's worth free. Because they did put it on they did put it on PlayStation Network and nobody played it. Nobody cared. Oh, that was so amazing. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you're upset at my commentary, I just want to say something very, very important, because some people have reached out, they've emailed, and they've been very upset. I made this channel to share my opinion on different topics. Some people shared their opinion because they wanted clout, and because they want subscribers and viewers, and they want sponsors, and they want money. They want money, and they want it so badly. Some people are all about that. That's what they want. That's their motivation. And so they change themselves. They pretend to be whatever the audience wants them to be. I give my honest opinion whether you like it or not. Some opinions are like, some you don't. You take the good with the bad. But for me, I will never change that. I will always give you my opinion as I see it. And you can make of that what you want. But a lot of people were reaching out. I can't believe you're so good on all these other topics. I'm right on this. It's just I'm ahead of the curve. Eventually, people will come around and realize that I'm right. That this game coming out at $50 at launch was all... It's all to up the price so that Nintendo can discount it and make it seem like a better deal. I guarantee you that there's going to be a program where you can buy 2 of these tickets, like for the old Switch, where it's like $10, $20, or $30 off each game. I guarantee that's what they're doing. They're trying to up the price of the game in order to incentivize you to buy the, Nintendo Switch Online Golden tickets. And they're putting the physical copies more expensive to try to get you to buy digital only because it's cheaper for them to do so. And with digital online only, it makes it more difficult for people to leak. And so Nintendo is trying a bunch of different things here, some of which, I understand, some of which I don't. But at the end of the day, my commentary on this is right. And if you want to be spoon-fed sugar by a slop tube or by some low IQ degenerate retard like Moist Critical or Hassan, you can do that. But that'll never be me. That'll never be me. I will give you the truth as I see it. You can take from it what you will. But I absolutely 100% think that Nintendo is well within the right to charge $80 if they want, although it's $50 for Mario Kart World, which is one of the main games that I'm considering. I mean, I've already considered. I'm going to get that game. I'm going to get the bundle with the game because I saved myself, $30 apparently. But I have a feeling, I just call it a hunch, that they're going to do like a ticket program where you can get 2 games for like $100 or 2 games for like $120. They're going to try to use it as a marketing thing to bring people in because the games are too expensive. But Nintendo can charge what they want because they built their reputation. They have built their reputation. Yes, gamers hate them, but they can't quit them because their stuff is so good. And by the way, I guess what I'll end on here is the conversation about performance. If you're somebody that's still arguing about 8-bit versus 16-bit, and, obviously translating it to today, you're retarded. You're just retarded. Graphics have already reached a point where, the graphics are... No, nobody cares. Nobody cares. If you're a graphics Andy, you're a retard. It has to be the most visually optimal. It's like, no. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom came out on the Switch and they look great. They look great on the Switch too. They look phenomenal. I mean, you saw those trailers, you saw those commercials. Happy to play those games again. They look great. I think it's ridiculous to be a graphics. But by the way, how many of you would buy a console for a single game? For one game? I know I would. I mean, so a $10 price increase or a $20 price increase doesn't really make much difference to me. I'm buying the game for Mario Kart because I know that I'm going to get my money's worth. Yeah, I'll get my money's worth out of Mario Kart, even for the entire even if I only bought that game for the Switch. That's how much I love Mario Kart. It's a phenomenal game. But I know that that's not the only value I'll get because the Nintendo Switch Online is relatively inexpensive and it gives me a lot of value for money. Think about how many games I get for the price of what, like $25 a year. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to do this follow up because there are a lot of people that are angry, that are irritated, and hopefully I made them just a little bit more so. But yeah, if you're angry and upset at what I'm saying, there's 2 things that you could do. You could buck up, or you could slink back to a slop tuber that'll feed you everything that you've ever wanted to hear. Yeah, no, you're right to be mad, man. Nintendo was hey guys, Most Critical here. Can you believe that Nintendo decided to charge $80? Well, actually $50 for a game? Man, what a bunch of greedy people. By the way, for 6 bars of soap, you can support my channel. $52. $52 for a couple bars of soap. That's yeah, I can either buy Mario Kart World for $50 or I can buy Moist Critical's soap. I think I know what choice I'm making. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.